Government schooling is the most radical adventure in history. It kills the family by monopolizing the best times of childhood and by teaching disrespect for home, parents, and culture. Education is the information to maintain the social order of control. Wait a minute. Control over what? Control over the authentic identity, heritage, and culture of the melanated people of America and where you come from, and your true purpose and reality. Now remember, we are referring to the melanated people of America and the melanated children of America. All children of the females of America are to receive a free education for conditioning that will erase their heritage, ancestry, culture in America and replace their earth heritage with America with an artificial narrative as his story of the United States. So what does this mean? It means that the education system is trying to condition our minds into erasing our true heritage, ancestry, and culture here in America. And they're trying to replace our earth heritage that we have here in America with an artificial narrative that is called history. His story, not ours. This is exactly why the education system still fails to teach our kids about the definition of American in the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. What is it? A native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of the Europeans born in America. They did not find Native Americans, the modern day Native Americans that we see on TV. That's not who they found here in America. They found copper-colored people or Aborigines. What is an Aboriginal? Aboriginal, the first original primitive Aboriginal people, are the first inhabitants of a country, not the modern day Native Americans that the education system lies and teach us about. Aboriginal tribes of America, Aboriginal, the first settlers in a country, are called Aboriginals, or the copper-colored races. What did Malcolm X say about the Aborigine? Aborigine, which means what? Black folk. You'll never find a white Aborigine. Rather, Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are Aborigines, but you don't like to be called Aborigines. Look up the Alabama senator. In 2009, he got in huge trouble because he referred the blacks as Aborigines. He got in so much trouble he couldn't even repeat the word Aborigines. So what's the difference between an Aboriginal and the modern day Native American we see on TV today? The Aboriginal is not only born on the soil, the Aboriginal is from the soil. The Native American is born on the soil, but comes from somewhere else. Why don't the education system teach us this? Remember, they are conditioning our minds and erasing our heritage, ancestry, and culture we have here with America. The heritage, ancestry, and culture we had here in and with America before anyone else. The Europeans in 1705 renamed all Anasazi Amerindian females and all life created by them as Negroes in their new patriarchal society, meaning people from indigenous females of America to capture for use as money for commodity exchange of soil into land. Over time, Amerindian females and her people, from being identified in the new artificial identity as Negro by the new patriarchal society, loses the importance for the connection to the Anasazi ancestral identities for their planetary Anasazi Amerindian females of America's heritage identity. As a result, the identities become invisible. The European collective continues to promote the assimilation of Anasazi Amerindians males into individualism as the way to live free as an American in the new European U.S. society, instead of upholding their collective preciousness in the Anasazi life culture of their blood with America. The United States starts the public school education system for the assimilation of all Anasazi Amerindian heritage children into a slave mentality of cultivated workers to serve the United States. This slide talks about how the education system caused us melanated people of America to become disconnected from our blood heritage, our life knowledge, our earthly humanity that existed for millions of years here in America. This slide talks about assimilation. What is assimilation and what assimilation is doing to our melanated people, and what assimilation is preventing our melanated people from knowing and doing and achieving. How assimilation turns our melanated people from producers into consumers. When the Negroes go to one-room rented hovels to be taught without equipment and by incompetent teachers educated scarcely beyond the 8th grade. Keep that in mind. Why have most melanated people in America always thought that they were inferior to all other races? Not all, but most. Why have we always thought we were inferior to other races? I'm going to tell you why, which is totally not true. We melanated people are the superior race, but here's why we thought we were inferior. The thought of the inferiority of the Negro is drilled into him in almost every class he enters and in almost every book he studies. If he happens to leave school after he masters the fundamentals, before he finishes high school or reaches college, he will naturally escape some of this bias and may recover in time to be of service to his people. So the main important thing in education pretty much that has been doing us any type of good are the fundamentals pretty much, but everything else is reconditioning. They are not teaching us about the importance of economics as one collective race. They are putting us out of our historical context. They are not teaching us our authentic ancestral heritage, our authentic culture, okay? They are completely reconditioning our minds. They are not teaching us the truth behind religion, literature, nor philosophy. What they are teaching us and how they are teaching us is nothing more than propaganda, genocide, reconditioning, erasing your memory from your ancestral heritage, your authentic culture you have and share with America. Turtle Island. Practically all of the successful Negroes in this country are of the uneducated type, or of that of Negroes who have had no formal education at all. The large majority of the Negroes who have put on the finishing touches of our best colleges are all but worthless in the development of their people. Also, we will never become a constructive force in the development of our race if we continue to teach our children the same thing the oppressor taught us: lies. The so-called modern education, with all its defects, however, does others so much more good than it does the Negro. Why? Because it has been worked out to comfort to the needs of those who have enslaved and oppressed weaker peoples. Highly educated Negroes denounce persons who advocate for the Negroes, a sort of education different in some respects from that now given the white man. Negroes who have been so long inconvenienced and denied opportunities for development are naturally afraid of anything that sounds like discrimination. They are anxious to have everything the white man has, even if it is harmful. The possibility of originality in the Negro, therefore, is discounted 100% to maintain a nominal equality. If the whites decide to take up Mormonship, the Negroes must follow their lead. If the whites neglect such a study, then the Negro must do likewise. Question which concerns us here is whether these educated melanated persons are actually equipped to face the ordeal before them. Negroes daily educated in the tenets of such a religion of the strong have accepted the status of the weak as divinely ordained, and during the last 3 generations of their nominal freedom, they have done practically nothing to change it. No systematic effort toward change has been possible, for taught the same economics, history, philosophy, literature, and religion which have established the present code of morals. The Negro's mind has been brought under the control of his oppressor. When you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. The same educational process which inspires and stimulates the oppressor with the thought that he is everything and has accomplished everything worthwhile depresses and crushes at the same time the spark of the genius in the Negro by making him feel that his race does not amount to much and never will measure up to the standards of other peoples. The Negro thus educated is a hopeless liability of the race. As another has well said, to handicap a student by teaching him that his melanated face is a curse and that his struggle to change his condition is hopeless is the worst sort of lynching. It kills one's aspirations and dooms him to vagabondage and crime. What is vagabondage and crime? Let's take a look at vagabondage. A person usually without a permanent home who wanders from place to place, nomad and idle, wanderer without a permanent home or visible means of support, tramp, vagrant. Now let's look at crime.
Walking around, looking for a way, but no one tells me which way to go. I'm caught up in a world, a labyrinth of maze, where yes men could easily be no. I ask them no questions, they give me no answers. Following the wise, but they're walking in paths.
When a Negro has finished his education in our schools, then he has been equipped to begin the life of an Americanized or Europeanized white man, knowing nothing of your ancestral heritage or authentic culture you have always had here in America, with America. In schools of theology, Negroes are taught the interpretation of the Bible worked out by those who have justified segregation and winked at the economic debasement of the Negro, sometimes almost to the point of starvation. Most of such miseducated ministers therefore preach to benches, while illiterate Negro preachers do the best they can in supplying the spiritual needs to the masses. Why is he saying miseducated ministers and illiterate Negroes preachers? Because they are teaching the white man's interpretation of the Bible. These are the same people who wink their eye at the economic debasement of the Negro to the point of starvation. This is why the melanated pastors or preachers cannot speak about things that will empower the people in their congregation. We melanated people must study the law of the land and know the interpretation of the law by the courts. All the rights of the Negroes in this country are involved. We may have too many lawyers of the wrong kind, but we have not our share of the right kind. The Negro has tended to follow in the footsteps of the average white practitioner and has not developed the power which he could acquire if he knew more about the people whom he should serve and the problems they have to confront. Too many Negroes go into medicine and dentistry merely for selfish purposes, hoping to increase their income and spend it on joyous living. They have the ambition to own fine automobiles, to dress handsomely, and to figure conspicuously in society. Language, mathematics, science may have served a good purpose, but economics, history, literature, religion, and philosophy is propaganda, waste of time. It misdirected the Negroes thus trained. The parts inhabited by the Caucasian were treated in detail. Less attention was given to the yellow people, less to the red, very little to brown, and practically none to the melanated race. When Negroes imitate whites, nothing new has been accomplished. You simply have large number of people doing what other people have already been doing. Hey world, I hope y'all enjoyed my video. This is Copper Color Ty. Like, share, subscribe. More info coming your way. Blessings.